Joined by our legal analyst, Paul Harding, Martin Harding Mazzotti. Hey, Paul, how are you?
Hey, good morning, Chuck. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning. All right, we're going to try to get to a couple things today. Never enough time with you. But this case in Lake George where this 8-year-old was killed in the boating accident. Now the driver, the pilot of the other boat, 24-year-old Alexander West. We found out through court papers, blood evidence says he tested positive for marijuana, cocaine, and ecstasy. But from the Saratoga County DA's office, they say a chemical analysis warrant did not conform with technical requirements of criminal procedure law. Don't know what that means, but they say they're not going to use it in the trial. Well, what does all this mean?
Yeah, it means that the defense attorney was able to get that thrown out. So big stuff, almost unthinkable in a case of this magnitude. You hear it when you're talking about routine stops, and there's been, maybe some minor injuries and not a lot of media on it. But in this situation right now, they will not be able to use the chemical testing that they did about 17 hours after the accident was when he turned himself in, and they're going to have to rely on testimony of the people that were with him and saw him that day.
Now, but why would that be tossed out?
Yeah, well, they have these requirements, right? So they didn't get into specific what was wrong with this. They just said, hey, we're kind of doing a mea culpa now. We're going to say, well, we're not going to use that. We had some technical issues. You have a warrant, right? So when you have a warrant, let's say a warrant to go check out your house. Mm-hmm. In order to do so, you have 7 to 10 different things that have to happen before an issue of a warrant and going to your house and see, see what's going on in that property. Same thing is true when they're going to go in and see what chemicals you have in your body. And so, again, not a big hurdle, but kind of a small hurdle. It wasn't taken. They missed something. They're not saying what they missed, but at this point, they are admitting that they're not going to be able to use that chemical test, which is a really big deal.
Yeah, I mean, you can have witnesses say that he was doing cocaine in a boat, but it doesn't show actually whether it was in a system or not, or how much of it, or if that's even a factor.
And what do these witnesses know what cocaine is or what these drugs are? I mean, they're going to maybe participate in themselves. Their credibility is really, really impaired. So that part of the case, big part of the case, and when I read that, I really just kind of stared at it and said, how did they miss it?
Wow.
Let's talk about this other case. It's an interesting lawsuit now. There are families of people who were killed in Paris in a terrorist attack, and they're suing now Facebook and Twitter. They want them to be held responsible for failing to stop terrorists from communicating through that platform.
Yeah. It's, I guess, to some degree, horrible, obviously, the events that they're talking about here, but they're very creative lawyering. They're trying to figure out, okay, who's a viable defendant? Who's a defendant that we can sue and attach and maybe has some assets? But they've really got a hurdle. There's the Communications Decency Act, which was been interpreted that if you operate the Internet, you are not liable for words of third parties. Again, you're not publishing them on the Internet, Facebook, Twitter. You're just letting people use your platform. And as of now, that has not been a means by which they could be held liable.
I mean, I understand what they're saying, and Facebook and Twitter do take some steps to try to stop this and block users and suspend accounts and all those other things, but it's impossible to keep up with everybody.
You got First Amendment issues, too, because, I guess recently there's been a lot of negativity about our new president. There's been a lot of stuff on the Internet, and so, at what point does that cross the line of being First Amendment free speech to the point where is that getting towards some kind of a threat towards him or some type of terrorist attack, because they're talking about this whole movement. So, sure, it'd be true censorship, but right now these guys are immune from it. We'll see what happens. I suspect that this is going to go the same route as some of the other claims. They've tried it before with bullying claims, where people have gone on the Internet and have sort of done some things, and people have committed suicide, and their families have said, listen, this Internet should have stopped this. We tried to let them know, and courts have said no.
Already, great information. Paul Harding, Martin Harding Mazzotti, 1-800-LAW-1010. Thanks, Paul. Really appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys.